Hi guys! Today I'm going to be filming my first ever baking video. I'm going to be making a simple apple crumble today. So the ingredients you're going to need, and I'll write these down in the description as well, so that if you want to make it you know the quantities. So you need 300 grams of plain flour plus an extra tablespoon for the filling. 175 grams of brown sugar plus an extra 50 grams for the filling. £450 grams of apples. I've gone for Bramley cooking apples. A pinch of ground cinnamon. And 200 grams of butter. So the first thing you're going to do is put a large bowl on top of your weighing scales, and then you need to set the scale back to 0 so that it's not showing the weight of the weighing scales as well, otherwise you're going to think you've put an awful lot more in than you have. And then you're going to measure out the flour and the sugar into the bowl. So 300 grams of plain flour. God, that's actually an awful lot. Alright, there you go, that's about right. And then 175 grams of brown sugar. And remember to set the scale back to 0, which I forgot to do then, which is a bit silly. So it's about 20 grams in. Okay, so that's about the right amount. So you can take that off the scales now, and then we need to mix it all together. So I've just adjusted the camera a bit better so you can see there. So I'm getting a big wooden spoon and mixing the flour and sugar up together. Make sure you do the edges as well so that it's definitely all mixed in. And then this is what you'll have now in your bowl. So now I've got another bowl out to measure out my butter into. So I'm going to open up the butter. I'm using the pack, but you can use any unsalted butter. Not the spreadable ones though, they don't work for baking. I'll get a knife. And you just want to get small chunks at a time, otherwise it's going to be much harder to rub in afterwards. And keep putting it in. Probably shouldn't be doing this with my fingers necessarily, but oh well. This is probably going to get really boring really quickly, so I'm going to cut this off now and I will come back, film again once I finish doing this. And that is all of my butter now. So I'm going to move the weighing scales out the way so I have more room. And the butter. Seems like an awful lot when it's like that. I'm going to get my bowl again, and I'm going to add a few pieces at a time, and I'm going to rub with my hands like this to rub the butter in. And ideally what you want to end up with is it's going to look like breadcrumbs, and you need to make sure there's no chunks of butter left in, because that will taste a bit gross when it's cooked. And then once they're rubbed in, you can add a few more. And keep doing that until I've added all of the butter. You can tell I get patient quickly, can't you? Adding more and more butter each time. No idea if you can actually really see what I'm doing here, so I apologise if you can't. This is really awkward because I keep having to wash my hands to press the buttons on the camera so I don't get crumble all over them. Anyway, it's starting to come together now. You can see it's starting to look more like crumble, but it's still got quite a few lumps in, so I'm going to carry on mixing. Well, rubbing, mixing, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so I reckon that's just about ready. So now we can move on to the filling for the middle. So I'm going to get another bowl out for that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my apples and I'm going to cut them up into slivers and then put them on the weighing scales until I have 450 grams. God, this is a hard apple. This may take a while. That's a bit big, so I'm going to halve it again. I know this isn't slightly the safest way to cut them, but oh well. Everyone will live. Well, hopefully. Of course, make sure you get the label off. Don't want that in the crumble. There we go. It's much easier now. Cut into it for the first time. She says, completely screwing that slice up. Oh, crap. Went on the floor. Oops. So we won't be using that one. Okay, that's only 120 grams. We need an awful lot more than I thought. Issue is I have to mix them with some stuff afterwards for the filling after I've done this. I don't have another big bowl of what the crumble mixture's in, so that could be interesting. This bowl's pretty much full now, so I'm going to have to tip it out onto the side over here and then start again. Right, let's get back to it. It said 15 minutes preparation time on this recipe. I think that's for people who can do this at the speed of lightning. It's clearly not the normal. That or I'm just really slow. What is it with me dropping bits on the floor today? I'm losing it. And that is all the apples I need, 450 grams. And if you look, the old ones, the ones that I cut up first, I've put into a jug with just cold water in there, and it stops them from going too brown, like this. So as I haven't got a big bowl to put them in, I'm going to get out the dish that I'm going to cook them in, and then I'm going to mix the filling up in that. So you can use whatever kind of baking tin or tub you want for this. I'm using this pirate's dish here, so I'm just going to put all of the apple in. And then I am going to add 175 grams of the brown sugar. So I will measure it out in this bowl first. No, I mean 50 grams of it. What am I talking about? I think I'm going mad. There we go. Perfect. Oh crap, I just got sugar all over me. Oh well. And then I'm going to add this. And then I'm going to add a tablespoon worth of plain flour. Here we go. And finally a pinch of the cinnamon. And then I'm going to get my wooden spoon there and I'm going to mix it up. But you want to be fairly gentle with it so that you don't break up the pieces of apple, but you still mix all of the sugar and flour in. Right. And then if you're doing it in a bowl, you need to put it in the container you're going to cook it in. In my case, I'm going to flatten it out. It's in here. You need a nice flat layer so that you can put the crumble mixture on top. And then I am going to pour the crumble mix from earlier on top. I hope this bowl's actually going to be big. This is actually going to be big enough. and then I'm going to flatten it on top. Crumble's perhaps a bit lumpy, but it will do. Right, I'm going to preheat the oven. It said 180 degrees on the recipe, but because I have a fan oven, I'm going to do it a bit lower because it usually cooks some more. So I'm going to put it on 160. Now that the oven's warmed up, I'm going to set the timer back to 0 and put my crumble in. I'm going to bake it for about 40 to 45 minutes, or until the top is golden brown and the fruit mixture underneath is bubbling. Right, I think this is ready now. Just turned off the oven. Let's have a look. God, that smells good. Right, so this is my finished product. It's maybe a little bit too brown on the top, but the apple looks lovely underneath. So I'm going to leave it on the side to cool for a bit, and then I'm going to put it in the fridge till later. And then when I serve it, I'm going to heat up some ambrosia custard to have with it. Although you can have cream as well, but I prefer custard. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you recreate the crumble, send me your pictures, because I'd love to see how yours has turned out. Mine's a little bit dodgy, so hopefully you can do better. I will see you next time. Bye.